I wanted to prove that gravity could take us to the stars, but I didn't know it would open a door to hell. I thought we were alone in space. I was wrong.
I don't understand you. What kind of technology is this? Now I understand your language.
They think you're one of us. That means you'll die with us.
Killed my brother. I want him alive, or in pieces.
Did my whole life to meet alien life. I never thought it would come asking for help.
We're all running. Some just run farther. This isn't my home, but I miss it.
Maybe you found a new one.
The shuttle sat on the launch pad like a sleeping giant, bathed in the pale orange light of dawn. Steam hissed from its belly, trailing off into the morning mist. John Cryan stood at a distance, helmet in hand, staring at the machine he had spent the last 6 years designing. It wasn't just any mission. It was his mission. One built on the kind of theory that made other physicists roll their eyes until the math shut them up. He barely noticed DK walking up beside him until the familiar voice cut through the silence. "You're quiet, Johnny." "Trying to remember if I checked everything," John muttered. "You checked it 10 times. I checked it 5 more. If something goes wrong, it's not the tech. It's the universe being petty." John let out a weak laugh, but it didn't last. His eyes stayed locked on the shuttle. "I've got a weird feeling about this one." DK shrugged. "Of course you do. It's the first time we're testing the theory outside of simulations. You're not scared of dying, you're scared of being wrong. That too." They stood there for a moment. No more words, just the humming sound of pre-launch systems warming up. Then came a new voice, rough, old school, and unmistakably familiar. "Back in my day, we launched with duct tape and prayer," said Commander Cryan, John's father. John turned, smiling despite himself. "They let you onto base? Who's gonna stop me? I trained half the people here." The old man gave his son a solid clap on the shoulder. "You look ready." "I don't feel ready." "You don't need to feel ready. It's not the moon, John. You're just going around the block and back. It's a glorified slingshot ride." John shook his head. "The slingshot is the point." "Then don't miss." With a nod, John headed for the platform. The climb up the launch tower felt longer than usual, each step echoing in his ears. He strapped in, flicking switches and checking gauges more out of ritual than necessity. He'd built this thing. Every system spoke his language. Still, his fingers hesitated on the last switch. "Flight control, this is Cryan," he said over the comms. "Engaging launch sequence. See you on the other side." The countdown roared in his helmet. Engines ignited. The world shook. Then, takeoff. Atmosphere peeled away in layers until the blackness of space surrounded him. The earth below curved like a sleeping colossus. For a moment, it was almost beautiful enough to forget what came next. Inside the main shuttle, he climbed into the spacecraft he'd designed himself. A compact, needle-nosed vessel built for speed, precision, and one purpose: to test whether Earth's own gravity could be used to launch a craft fast enough to break free of the solar system. If it worked, it would change space travel forever. If not, he'd just be another man with a dead theory and a very expensive coffin. He locked into orbit and began accelerating. With each pass around the planet, he built up velocity, watching numbers climb on his console. From the control station back on the shuttle, DK's voice buzzed in. "Cryon, you're hitting thresholds. Feels tight but stable. However, there's some kind of electromagnetic disturbance forming ahead. I'm getting spikes across the board." John narrowed his eyes. Solar flare. Number not solar. Not anything I've seen. You might want to pull out of the test run. We need more data before you... But he never finished. Without warning, space itself seemed to ripple ahead of John's ship. A hole tore open, perfectly circular, lined with violet energy. A portal, massive and impossible. "DK, what the hell is..." The rest was static. John's ship lurched forward as if yanked by an invisible hook. His hands scrambled across the controls, trying to abort, trying to stabilize, but nothing answered. The G-forces pinned him in place. Alarms blared. His vision blurred. The ship shuddered violently as it passed through the portal. Silence. For a heartbeat, John thought he was dead. Then the chaos returned. The ship burst out of the other side, smoke trailing from its hull. John choked down bile as he fought to stabilize the vessel. The stars looked unfamiliar. Massive asteroids drifted all around him like the shattered bones of a dead galaxy. Before he could even process where he was, movement caught his eye. Other ships, sleek and fast, zigzagging between the debris. One of them veered sharply and collided with him, glancing off his hull and spiraling into a nearby asteroid in a brilliant explosion. John's ship was spinning now, systems failing one after the other. He caught a glimpse of a monstrous vessel ahead, huge, covered in jagged metal and dark red lights. Smaller ships were attacking it like hornets around a whale. And then he felt the pull. Some kind of tractor beam locked onto him. His ship jerked toward the massive vessel. Fires erupted inside his cockpit. He slammed the emergency release on his harness and kicked the hatch open. The second he crawled out, he was surrounded. Dozens of tiny spider-like robots, weapons raised. John raised his hands instinctively. "Okay," he muttered. "Not exactly NASA's welcome party." The robots barked in static and pointed toward a corridor. Still dazed, John obeyed. Wherever he'd landed, it wasn't the edge of known space. It was something far stranger. The corridor was dim and pulsing, like a blood vessel inside a beast. The walls weren't made of metal. They breathed. The air was heavy, humid, and filled with the faint stench of something biological. John stumbled forward, surrounded by twitching, insectoid robots with glowing eyes and weapons aimed squarely at him. His heart pounded with the same question looping in his head. Where the hell am I? The hall opened into a wide control chamber that looked grown, not built. Organic consoles pulsed with alien lights, and strange, thin-limbed beings manned them, if manned was even the right word. Their bodies were elongated, clothed in mismatched scraps of armor and rags. Their skin shimmered with shifting patterns, as if light itself didn't know how to settle on them. One of them turned and stared directly at him. Then it moved. In a blur of motion, the alien stormed toward John, grabbed him by the neck, and lifted him off the ground like a toy. It growled something, guttural, fast, unintelligible. John gasped, flailed, kicked. He couldn't breathe. A tiny robot zipped forward and stabbed a needle into John's ankle. He didn't have time to resist. His brain lit up with fire, then clarity. The language began sorting itself out, his thoughts catching up to the words mid-sentence. "Tell us what this vessel is made of, now. What engine powers it? Who sent you?" John coughed violently, the alien finally setting him down. I'm not with anyone. I built that ship. I'm an astronaut. From Earth." "Earth?" Another alien scoffed from the corner. "That dead zone myth." The first alien snarled. "Don't insult us. We know your kind. Your peacekeeper tech." John shook his head. "I don't even know what that is. I was testing a propulsion theory and got pulled through some kind of portal. I'm not your enemy." "You arrived during a pursuit," the first alien barked. "They will come for you. They think you're one of them." "They?" John repeated. "Who?" A heavy hand cut him off, throwing him back. "We'll decide what to do with you later." He was dragged down another passage and thrown into a cell. The walls were semi-transparent, veined with glowing lines. He barely had time to sit up before a second cell opened beside his, and someone else was pushed in. A soldier in black, her armor scorched, helmet scratched. The visor lifted. She was human. She stared at him with immediate suspicion. "You," John raised his hands. "Hey, just as confused as you are. You're peacekeeper," she snapped. "I'm not anything. Name's John Cryan. Earth." She paused. "Never heard of it. What company are you with?" "I'm not with a company. I'm an independent explorer. Solo mission." She didn't look convinced. "Commander Aaron's son. Peacekeeper Special Forces." "Well, Commander Sun," John said, settling onto the bench, "seems we're both out of our jurisdiction." Hours passed, then two more aliens approached. One was tall, with bronze skin and a massive scar across his jaw. The other moved like liquid, her body wrapped in dark robes and intricate jewelry. "I'm Ka Diargo," the scarred one said, voice gravelly. "This is Pooh." Pooh studied John with narrowed eyes. "You are not peacekeeper. Your bacteria colonies are unfamiliar." John blinked. "You can tell that just by looking." "I felt it," she replied, as if that explained everything. "Great," John said, rubbing his temples. "So can I get out now?" "No," D'Argo growled. "We don't know where your loyalty lies." A deep hum echoed through the ship. Somewhere in the distance, lights flickered. "Someone's coming," Pooh muttered. "They're tracking us." She and D'Argo turned and left, the cell door resealing. Meanwhile, far across space, the sleek command bridge of a peacekeeper vessel hummed with controlled fury. Captain CCE stood over a wreckage report. 2 prowlers lost, one sucked into the starburst, one destroyed in collision with an unknown ship. His brother had been piloting the second. The data analysis played on screen. They traced the foreign ship, John's, to the exact moment of impact. No broadcast signal, no peacekeeper credentials. Still, CCE's face hardened. "This creature," he said, voice ice cold. "It killed my brother." His officers stood silent. "I want him found, alive if possible, dead if not." Back aboard the Leviathan, John was still in his cell, arms folded, trying to make sense of anything. His ears perked up as someone approached again. Riel, a smaller, almost childlike alien with silver eyes and a constant twitch. "I need you to stand," Riel said. "Why?" "We scanned your body. Your clothing was contaminated. It was removed." John looked down. "I'm naked?" "Modesty is a strange concept," Riel replied flatly. "You were examined." "I feel so honored." Riel tilted his head. "You are strange. Most peacekeepers wouldn't joke in captivity." "That's because I'm not one." Riel sat cross-legged. "I was a monarch. Once. My brother took my crown and exiled me. I'm guessing this ship is a bit of a floating misfit club," John muttered. Riel didn't deny it. In the next cell, Aaron studied John through the barrier. "You're not trained. You move like a civilian." "I am a civilian, a scientist. Then why the military vessel?" John shrugged. "Built it myself. Needed to test a theory." She seemed to consider that, then said, "You're still a threat. And they think you're one of us." That's when Dargo and Pooh returned. John stood. "Let me out." "You're not peacekeeper," Pooh said, "but that doesn't make you safe. What more do you want? A signed note?" She studied him. "You lack discipline, you lack fear, but you carry something strange inside, something not from this region of space." "Yeah," John said. "It's called Earth Guts. Now let me out before the real peacekeepers show up." But they didn't open the door. Not yet. Because far away on the peacekeeper ship, a technician turned from his console. "We've confirmed it," he said. "That strange ship, the one that appeared out of nowhere, was responsible. The commander's prowler hit it. It was piloted by the human. The unknown Captain CCE's eyes narrowed. Then I will burn every system he hides in," he said. "That human dies by my hand." Back aboard Leviathan, John finally slumped down, pressing his hands against his face. This day keeps getting better. From across the hall, Aaron sighed. "You have no idea." Dinner was served aboard the Leviathan, and John was trying hard not to gag. The food was gelatinous, pulsating slightly as if still alive. Its color shifted between green and gray. Dargo ripped into it without a thought. Pooh ate with slow, careful gestures, while Riel poked at his with visible disgust. John poked his own portion with a utensil, watched it jiggle, and shook his head. "I'm sorry, but I can't eat anything that wiggles back." Pooh gave him a look. "Your biology is soft." Suddenly, John's voice pitched up into a high squeal. Everyone turned. His eyes widened. "What the—" he squeaked. Riel blinked, then smirked. "My species releases helium gas when digesting. It affects the vocal cords of those nearby." "Fantastic," John said, sounding like a chipmunk. "Dinner and a side of humiliation." Amid the absurdity, Erin sat quietly, still locked in her cell. She watched the others, her expression unreadable. Later, as the ship approached a commerce planet, the crew gathered to discuss their next move. They needed supplies, fuel, medical components, especially now that they were fugitives. Pooh, Dargo, and Riel debated whether they could trust the peacekeeper prisoner. Erin remained silent until someone asked directly. "If you were us," Riel asked her, "would you trust you?" "I wouldn't," she said without hesitation. Pooh raised a brow. "At least she's honest." Erin didn't flinch. When they decided to land, John stepped aside and approached her cell, speaking quietly. "I brought you a fork," he said, "to pick the lock, hidden in the food tray." Her eyes flicked to the tray. "Why?" "Because you might need it, and because maybe you're not the enemy." She scoffed. "You're soft. That'll get you killed. Or keep me human." She took the fork without another word. Down on the planet, Pooh, Dargo, and Riel left the ship to gather supplies. John stayed behind, pretending to nap in the common room, but the moment he heard the ship's hatch seal shut, he was up and heading for Erin's cell. She had already unlocked it. "You're late," she said. "Sorry," John replied. "Got distracted by your sparkling personality." They crept through the ship. Erin paused near an exposed conduit. "What are you doing?" John asked. "Sabotage," she said. "I'm not letting these prisoners take my ship and vanish." John grabbed her wrist. "They're not soldiers. They're just trying to survive. They're criminals. You're a peacekeeper, and I've already seen what your side does to people, so spare me the moral high ground." Erin's expression darkened. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know enough. Enough to see you hesitated just now." She yanked her arm free. "This is all I know how to be." John stared at her. "Then maybe it's time to be something else." The words hung there for a moment, heavier than either of them wanted to admit. They made their way to the Prowler dock and climbed into Erin's vessel. As it powered up, she sent out a coded signal to Peacekeeper Command. "Coordinates locked," she said. "Let's go." As they took off, Captain CCE received the transmission. "Prepare a landing force," he ordered. "We have them." Back on the surface, Pooh and the others finished their shopping and returned to find the ship empty. Immediately suspicious, Dargo scanned for the Prowler's signal. His eyes narrowed. "They're gone," Pooh exhaled. "Then we run. We can't fight a peacekeeper ship." Dargo shook his head. "We need leverage. We need them back." Moments later, down in the market's lower district, Erin and John were walking toward a supply depot when Dargo ambushed them. He moved like a tank, grabbing John and slamming him into a wall. "You betrayed us!" "Easy," John shouted. "We didn't call them. We're just—" The air cracked with the sound of engines overhead. Peacekeeper shuttles landed hard in the street. Captain CCE stepped out, flanked by soldiers. "Take them," he barked. "All of them." John, Erin, and Dargo were forced to their knees. CCE stared directly at John. "You killed my brother. I should kill you now." "I didn't even know him," John said, struggling against the guards. "Your ship crashed into mine." "A likely excuse, and now you'll be dissected to see how many lies your body holds." He turned to Erin. "And you have clearly gone native." "She saved my life," John shouted. "She's not your enemy." But CCE wasn't listening. You've been contaminated by alien filth. You're done. They were marched away to holding cells in a nearby facility. As guards checked their restraints, John leaned toward Aaron and whispered, "When I say now, duck. What are you planning?" "Improvising." A guard leaned in to scan his cuffs. John headbutted him, grabbed his sidearm, and ducked. He fumbled with the weapon, confused by the alien interface, but after a moment of guesswork, it hummed to life. He pointed it at the guards. "Nobody move." The peacekeepers froze. John tossed Aaron a set of keys. "Let's go." She hesitated for half a second, then unlocked Diargo's cuffs. The big warrior rose to his feet, immediately fuming. "You're helping her." "We need each other," John said. "You want out or not?" Diargo grunted. "Fine, but if she betrays us again, she won't," John said. "Right?" Aaron said nothing, but she stayed. They fled the facility, fighting their way through stunned guards and back to the Prowler. As they lifted off, a peacekeeper cruiser locked onto them. "We can't outrun that thing," Diargo growled. "We won't have to," John said. "We'll slingshot." "What?" "We'll use the planet's gravity, pull in close, angle the ship, and let it throw us out like a stone from a sling." Aaron's eyes widened. "That's suicide." "It's science." He took the controls. The ship dove, skimmed the atmosphere, and then, just as they were about to burn up, flipped into the curve of the planet. The engines screamed. The G-forces pinned them to their seats. The peacekeeper cruiser overshot and lost lock. They broke free. Back aboard the Leviathan, they docked. Pugh greeted them with a raised brow. "You're lucky we didn't leave without you." John stepped out of the Prowler. "We brought the ship back in one piece, mostly." Pooh walked up to him, looked him in the eyes, then leaned forward and gave him a strange, wet kiss on the cheek. John blinked. "Was that a thank you?" "Yes," she said, "and a warning." Later, in a quiet corner of the ship, Diargo cornered John. "You ever risk my freedom again, I'll end you." Noted. Nearby, Aaron sat alone. John walked over. "Everything all right?" "Just thinking about how terrible your people are." She didn't smile. "About who I want to be." He nodded. "You've got time to figure it out." She looked at him. "So do you." John returned to the wreckage of his original ship, now stowed in the Leviathan's hangar. He sat in the cockpit and recorded a message. "Dad, I don't know if this will reach you. Hell, I don't even know if Earth still exists in this universe. But I'm alive, and I'm not alone. I've got no idea what happens next. But I'm not done yet." As he hit save, an alarm rang out through the Leviathan, an ear-splitting beacon tone. John's face twitched involuntarily. "What is that?" he shouted, stumbling into the corridor. Aaron met him there. "It's the Leviathan's emergency signal. It activates when a prison transport goes missing." John's stomach dropped. "Can we turn it off?" Riel arrived, grim-faced. "It's deep inside the ship's neural nexus, and removing it will hurt the Leviathan. Maybe kill it." John exhaled. "Then we don't remove it. We drown it." Pooh raised an eyebrow. "What?" "We find a planet with water, submerge the ship, muffle the signal, buy time." Everyone looked at him like he was insane. Then Dargo said, "That might work." And so Leviathan descended toward the nearest planet. It was rough, jarring, and far from subtle, but they made it. The massive ship buried itself in mud, hidden. As the crew caught their breath, the pilot spoke. "The signal is still active. We'll need chlorum to numb the Leviathan's pain if we attempt removal." John nodded. "Then let's go find some chlorum." Because running was no longer an option. Now they had to survive. The forest was dense, humid, and smelled like damp bark and wild pollen. Giant insects buzzed overhead as John trudged through thick underbrush, the scanner in his hand pulsing softly. Each pulse drew him closer to what they needed: chlorum, the only element capable of numbing the Leviathan enough to survive the beacon removal. He was alone now. Aaron and Diargo had split off to lead the hostile locals away. He moved quickly, hoping not to run into anything that wanted to eat him, until the scanner chirped louder. Just ahead, nestled between trees, stood a strange barn, sleek and metallic, unlike anything else on this planet. A few radio telescopes pointed towards the sky, rusting quietly in the wind. The door to the barn creaked as he pushed it open, stepping into a room full of fertilizer, strange tools, and, shockingly, Earth-like electronics. Before he could investigate, he heard footsteps. He ducked behind a stack of crates, just as a young alien boy walked in, humming to himself. His skin was pale with blue patterns along his cheeks, and he looked no older than 12. Then the boy saw John. Their eyes met for a split second before the boy yelped and ran out. "Wait!" John called, but the kid was already gone. Moments later, a woman entered, older, steady, sharp-eyed. She wore a worn jacket and held a strange rifle aimed right at John's chest. He stepped out slowly, hands up. "Look, I'm not here to hurt anyone. My name's John. I just need help." "An alien with an Earth name," she said, suspicious. "Cute. I'm from a planet called Earth, long way from here." "Yeah?" she asked. "And why should I believe that?" He nodded to the radio array outside. "You're trying to contact someone, aren't you? Been sending signals out for years. You dreamed of this moment your whole life." She blinked. Her hand trembled just a little. He'd guessed right. "I didn't come to hurt anyone," he said gently. "I came because I need something from this planet. A mineral. I think you have it." As if on cue, the chlorum scanner in his hand lit up, pointing to a small sack of cooking powder on the counter. Lisa stared at him, baffled. "You're telling me alien painkiller is in my pantry?" "Basically." She laughed despite herself and lowered the weapon. Figures. They sat. She made tea. He told her what little he could and left out everything that would terrify a civilian. Lisa watched him with a strange mix of awe and sadness. "You're not the first to crash here," she said. "A few of them pass through this system. Traders, smugglers, never a human." "Then I guess I win the prize. You're not planning to stay, are you?" John shook his head. "I can't. My ship, my crew. They need this. They're not perfect, but they're trying." "And you?" she asked. "I don't know what I am anymore. I was a scientist. Now I'm somewhere between a hostage and a hitchhiker." She smiled. "You're more than that." You're trying to help. That's rare. Before John could answer, the windows flashed. Troops. The local military was surrounding the property. Lisa moved quickly. They tracked you. Let me talk to them. They'll shoot first. He hesitated, then asked, "Can you establish a connection with my ship?" "Just long enough to tell them what I found." Lisa nodded and flicked switches on the panel, clearing static until the Leviathan's pilot came through, faint but audible. "I've got the chlorum," John told them. "I'm on my way." Then another transmission broke in. Panicked. Dargo had been captured. The military saw him as a threat, a monster. They were preparing to transfer him to a secure facility. Lisa frowned. "Your friend. He's not like you, is he?" "No," John admitted, "but he's with me." She handed him a satchel filled with chlorum. "Go, save your friend." "But I'll mislead them. I've got a lifetime of fake signals saved up. I'll send them in the wrong direction." John looked at her. "Why are you doing this?" "Because you looked up," she said softly. "And so did I." He hesitated, then leaned forward and kissed her, quick and grateful. "Thank you. Don't forget me." "I couldn't if I tried." He fled into the woods. At the military convoy, John dropped from the trees with a stolen stun weapon and blasted the guards holding Dargo. The big warrior looked stunned, then impressed. "I thought you were dead. I'm too stubborn for that." They ran. Lisa's fake coordinates sent the military chasing shadows in the opposite direction. By the time they returned, Pooh was nearly unconscious from the pain she had been absorbing through the ship's neural link. Riel was buried deep inside the Leviathan's cortex, trying to remove the beacon. Aaron helped hold Pooh up, her hands shaking as she whispered comfort to the priestess. When John entered with the chlorum, the room almost glowed with relief. He rushed to deliver the mineral, and the pilot administered it quickly. The Leviathan's groans quieted. The pain eased. Riel finally pulled the beacon free, holding it in one trembling hand. They had done it. Later, as the ship rose from the muddy lake, John stood at a viewport, looking down at the planet. Lisa and her son, Fostro, stood outside their home, watching the sky. He knew she couldn't see him, but he raised a hand anyway. "You miss it?" Aaron asked, walking up beside him. He didn't answer at first. "It wasn't Earth," he said, "but it felt like it. Primitive planet, minimal defense, poor infrastructure." "That's not what I meant." She studied him, her expression softer than usual. "You're not like them, not anymore." "Neither are you." A quiet beat passed between them. "What now?" she asked. "We find a way forward," he said. "Together." In the distance, stars wheeled silently across the dark. Somewhere out there, more peacekeepers would come. More threats. More unknowns. But for now, they had air in their lungs, chlorum in their hold, and each other. John turned from the viewport and walked back toward the heart of the ship. The Leviathan pulsed beneath his feet like a living thing. A ship made of biology and rebellion, crewed by cast-offs, outlaws, and one displaced human who no longer belonged anywhere, but could maybe belong here. Somewhere, somehow, the journey had stopped being about getting home and started being about what came next.